Hi, welcome to the 14-day weather forecast. I've just returned from a week in North Wales, which is where I took this photograph. The weather there was absolutely amazing. It was cool and quite cloudy to begin with, but dry. That made it ideal for walking up and down Snowdon. The sun then came out and temperatures rocketed in the following days. I think in parts of the UK, values exceeded 30 Celsius, making it hotter than at any point during August. Things have now changed though, so how is it looking during the next couple of weeks? I'll start as usual by taking a look at the short-term picture across Europe and the North Atlantic. The sequence here runs from 18 GMT, Friday, September the 10th. The UK is here and this area of low pressure, so there are lots of showers around. Some of them are very heavy and thundery. Not everywhere's catching one though, and there are also some bright spells. In the short term, that area of low pressure begins to pull away northeastwards. So through Saturday, there should be a good deal of dry weather across much of the country, although in the northern half of Scotland, there is a risk of persistent spells of rain. Into Sunday, and it's to the southwest where we need to be looking. There's another area of low pressure down here, some heavy outbreaks of rain associated with it, and those could start to affect Wales, southwestern England, possibly Northern Ireland. But there is some uncertainty at the moment about the exact impact those will be having. Into the early part of next week, and it looks like rain may become more widespread for a time associated with that area of low pressure. Then a ridge of high pressure pushes in, but when the sequence finishes, Friday 17th of September, what we can see is low pressure centred up to the northwest here, and weather fronts associated with it beginning to make inroads across the UK. In fact, by this point, things are looking fairly typical for the time of year. Quite an autumnal pattern setting up there, if this is correct, of course. At this time of year, it's an even bigger if than usual. The reason is that computer models struggle to determine how tropical storms and hurricanes will engage and interact with the jet stream across the North Atlantic. So this chart is for Friday, the 10th of September, and on the edge of the frame you can see Hurricane Larry. Fast forward 2 days, and by then it has moved into the North Atlantic and it's beginning to merge with other areas of low pressure. It looks as though it's setting up a fairly typical Atlantic pattern across northwestern Europe in the days which follow. As I say though, it's important to realise confidence in the details of this evolution are low. With that said, rather than throwing in the towel at this point, I'll continue taking a look at some of the temperature data. First of all, at the upper level, this is about 1,500 metres above sea level, and it's valid on Saturday the 11th of September. What we can see is greens across much of the UK, still some yellows in the northeast and down over southern counties there. What that means in terms of 2 metre temperatures, so the ones we actually experience, is not too bad, not certainly lower than they have been recently, but still 21, 22 Celsius in southern and central regions in sunny spells. Moving forwards to Tuesday the 14th of September, this is where things start to become interesting. Over southern and central regions on this particular computer model run, there's some very warm air again, which has been shown by these oranges. It's cooler there in the northwest. In terms of the 2 metre temperatures at this point, the GFS model here is showing values of 27 Celsius in southern England on Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday the 14th. But as I say, that's certainly not a given. Bringing up the GFS 06Z model run, so this is using data which was initiated 6 hours later. See, maximums now are down to about 25 Celsius in the southeast. But it doesn't stop there, because if we take a look at the UK Met Office UKV model at the same time, maximums are now around 24 Celsius and they are further north in Lincolnshire, possibly even parts of Yorkshire there. But keep going. Here's the German Icon model. Values now are down to about 21, 22 Celsius on Tuesday afternoon. These are maximums. Finally, in this sequence, here's the Canadian model for the same time. we're now down to 19 or 20, maybe 21 Celsius in the southwest. So by Tuesday the 14th of September, what we're seeing is a big possible range of temperatures with the GFS at the top there, 27, maybe 28. The Canadian model coming down at the lower end with 19, 20, possibly 21 Celsius. So I just wanted to show these different scenarios from the operational model runs because they do highlight the uncertainty and the details at relatively short range. Wind speeds are something of interest increasingly as we go through the autumn months, of course. A number of you have asked me to flag up windy periods of weather, which I will do as they become more relevant. I mentioned there is a possibility of a fairly typical Atlantic flow becoming established towards the end of the first week and as we maybe go into the second week, which I'll look at in more detail shortly. So this is showing wind streamlines for Friday, the 17th of September. What we can see is fairly strong winds there in the northwest of the UK associated with the area of low pressure, which is centred close to Iceland. In terms of what that means in numerical values, here we go. So we've got gusts of 50 miles an hour or more just off to the northwest of the UK. By that point, this is actually 21 GMT. Thursday, the 16th of September. So it's suggesting the possibility of windy conditions starting to develop towards the end of the first week as an Atlantic flow begins to establish itself. But as I say, it's all very uncertain at this point, but it would be quite typical for the time of the year. In terms of rainfall, well, this is the GFS snapshot on the left, days 0 to 5, on the right, days 0 to 10. All parts of the UK seeing some rain, but the general pattern here is for the wettest conditions to be in the north and west, the driest in the south and the east. As I say, I wouldn't focus too much on the details here with so much uncertainty in the forecast at the moment, but I think the general pattern may well be quite close to the mark, but amounts of rain will be varying quite a lot. So I keep going on about the level of uncertainty. I'll now just take a quick look at the different deterministic models to see how they compare with each other at 1 week ahead. Starting with the GFS 00Z, this is the one which the animation was based on. You can see the UK here with a ridge of high pressure just toppling away and the Atlantic starting to look threatening by Friday, the 17th of September. At the same time, the Canadian model, this also has the Atlantic starting to make inroads across the UK. Next, the German ICON model, similar story. We've got the Atlantic making inroads, high pressure there, perhaps still having more influence in the south and the east. The European ECM model, once again, weather fronts beginning to push in from the west. The UK Met Office model, high pressure here to the southwest, but something of an Atlantic flow developing here as well. So I think all in all, at the end of week 1, the signal is fairly consistent at the broad scale. That is, that it looks like the Atlantic will be beginning to have more influence. A fairly typical early autumnal pattern starting to show its hand if these deterministic models are correct. So what about the second week of the forecast period? Well, as usual, I will take a look at the ensemble data to try and identify trends and probabilities rather than specifics, beginning with the 16-day GEFS plot for London and southeastern England. Across the top, it shows upper air temperatures with the thick black line there being the 30-year average. So these charts go out 16 days ahead. What we can see through the second week is that the purple line, which is the ensemble mean, is often close to or a little bit above the 30-year norm, the thick black line. So it's a fairly average pitch for the time of the year in terms of upper air temperatures. Across the bottom, rain spikes start to appear and they continue, but there aren't that many of them through week 2. It's therefore suggesting there is a risk of rain at times, but I think also quite a lot of dry weather. Jumping up to the northwest to Glasgow, the upper air temperature profile is similar. If anything, that thick purple line, the ensemble mean, is dipping below the thick black line, the 30-year norm, a little more than it was doing on the London one, but not a great deal of difference. Nonetheless, it's looking different in terms of rainfall. There are more spikes showing here. They're consistently appearing through the second week. It actually looks like potentially quite a wet picture in the northwest if this ensemble is along the right track. And taking the two together, I think they are suggesting a typical picture, an Atlantic influence, particularly in the northwest. That's where the wettest, also the windiest conditions are likely to be, but the possibility of rain pushing southeastwards across all regions at times. Very, very typical week 2 according to these charts. Looking at the 2 meter temperatures in a little bit more detail with the 16-day data tables. Each column here summarizes the output from all of the runs in the GEFS, and it shows the maximum values on the given day. What we can see through week 2 is that the light orange is dominant, runs which are going for 16 to 20 Celsius maximums. There is still some darker orange there, those are the 21 to 25 Celsius runs. So I wouldn't rule out warmer conditions at times in the south. There is a small amount of yellow there, cooler runs, 11 to 15 Celsius maximums, not discounting them, but I think the theme here is for 2 meter temperatures, ones we experience, to be close to or above the average through much of the second week. Jumping up to Glasgow to see the northwest again. Here, the light yellow is dominant, the 11 to 15 Celsius category. There is some light orange, 16 to 20 Celsius, but again, it's a very, very typical pattern we're seeing here with lower temperatures as you head northwards in the UK, but all in all, nothing untoward. Rainfall, using the data tables to look at it in a little bit more detail. So week 2 for London. The light grey is showing runs which are forecasting completely dry conditions at the given time. So you can see there is a lot of light grey in these columns through week 2. Again, it's just reinforcing that message that according to the ensemble data, there's a good chance of dry periods. There are some runs, of course, going for significant rainfall, the purples and blues, green and a little bit of red further on. But as I say, the majority of runs in the ensemble at each given time step are showing dry conditions. Up to the northwest, even here, there is still a significant amount of light grey, so completely dry runs, but much less of it. Dark grey, which is showing runs forecasting relatively small amounts of rain at each time, is here in large quantities, but also we see more purple, blues, greens, yellows and oranges. So as I say, it's a wetter picture in the northwest, but all in all, very, very typical. Looking at the 500 HPA anomaly chart for Saturday the 25th of September. So think of this in terms of pressure anomalies. The yellows, browns over the south and the east of the UK are pointing towards higher than average pressure, with the blues to the northwest here suggesting a lower than average pressure so close to Iceland. I think it's always easy to read a lot more into these charts than one should, but possibly this is suggesting deep low pressure here to the northwest, high pressure here to the southeast, and that may lead to warm air feeding up from the south or the southwest. So even during the last third of September, we may not be done with the warmth just yet for the season. So to summarise the 14 days, week 1, it's a mixed bag of weather. Showery to begin with, but then through the weekend it should be drier in much of the UK. However, there is a risk of rain in the northern half of Scotland on Saturday, and then possibly in Wales and the southwest on Sunday. The rest of the period, heavy showers or longer spells of rain are possible, but so are warm or very warm sunny periods, especially in the south. But there is a good deal of uncertainty about that, as I showed the temperature forecasts from different computer models are varying significantly, so that really warm weather is by no means certain. Week 2, again, it's a changeable theme. Rain is possible in all regions. The wettest conditions are likely to be in the northwest, with the driest in the southeast. Temperatures often close to or above the seasonal average. It could still be warm at times, especially in the south. So, there we have it. I think, again, I'll just close by saying that forecast confidence is very low for the reasons which I've outlined and explained. The last 14-day outlook I issued came off the tracks pretty quickly. That's my view. I'm often asked to self-critique my outlooks, so there we go. Can I promise this one won't go in a similar direction? No, I can't. Unfortunately, that's the nature of medium-range forecasting with the current state of technology in the United Kingdom, Northwest Europe, where confidence is often very low indeed. Nonetheless, I hope you found this useful. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please remember to hit the like and subscribe buttons below. Thanks for watching now. Bye.